In her LGBT memoir, Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal, 2011, Jeanette Winterson reflects on her troubled childhood and invites readers to explore the meaning of belonging. The book won the 2013 Lambda Literary Award for Lesbian Memoir Biography and received numerous other award nominations. Winterson, an English author, was raised in a strict Pentecostal Evangelical household, which greatly influences her writing. Before transitioning to full-time writing, she worked as an assistant editor at Pandora Press and continues to write for newspapers and magazines. Winterson's childhood was anything but easy. Enduring years of emotional and occasional physical abuse, she was made to feel ashamed of her sexual identity. It wasn't until adulthood that she found the strength to confront her past and share her story. Through her memoir, Winterson hopes to encourage others to escape abusive environments and find a place where they truly belong. Growing up in Accrington, a small working-class town in northern England, Winterson had no memories of her birth parents. When she was just 6 months old, she was adopted by a couple unable to have children. To the outside world, Mr. and Mrs. Winterson appeared to be the ideal couple, religious and morally upright. However, their behavior was far from ideal. As a devout Pentecostal Evangelical Christian couple, they took their faith to extremes, and their treatment of Winterson grew violent and unpredictable. They believed their daughter was evil, either the devil's child or a being sent by the devil to test them. Winterson recalls how her adoptive parents relentlessly punished her for not meeting their expectations. Mrs. Winterson frequently belittled her, telling her she was a disappointment and expressing regret over their choice at the adoption center. The constant emotional abuse left Winterson feeling inadequate and drained. The situation worsened when her parents resorted to physical abuse, with Mrs. Winterson convinced that Winterson was not just evil, but possessed by the devil. Both parents beat her, hoping to expel the devil from her. When violence proved ineffective, they locked her in dark, isolated rooms for hours and forbade her from having friends, fearing that she might corrupt other children. Winterson's memoir paints a vivid picture of a childhood marked by loneliness, fear, and despair. For Jeanette Winterson, books were her only source of joy and solace. Through reading, she discovered a world of possibilities and found hope for the future. Books were the lifeline that kept her from giving up during her tumultuous childhood, sparking her later passion for writing. At 15, things take a turn for the worse when Winterson begins to suspect she might not be attracted to boys, as she's never felt drawn to anyone at school. She wonders if she might be a lesbian, but fears the wrath of her parents, who would condemn her for it. Her fears become more complicated when she meets Helen, a beautiful, intelligent, and kind girl at church. Winterson falls in love, and although Helen returns her feelings, Winterson knows she cannot act on them with her parents watching. After weeks of internal conflict, Winterson finally gives in and secretly meets Helen. But when her parents discover the relationship, they are horrified. Convinced that their daughter is under the devil's influence, they arrange for a local pastor to perform an exorcism. The humiliation of the exorcism does nothing to change Winterson. She may have stopped seeing Helen, but she soon finds herself in love with another girl at school. Realizing that her identity is unchangeable, Winterson comes to the painful conclusion that there is nothing demonic about her. Rather, it was her parents who had caused her years of torment. At 16, Winterson finally stands her ground and tells her parents she is a lesbian, refusing to apologize for who she is. Her parents respond by kicking her out of the house, and she spends weeks living in her car. While this is a low point in her life, Winterson feels a sense of freedom she had never known before. Mrs. Ratlow, her English teacher, becomes an important figure in her life, urging her to pursue English. Together, they work to improve Winterson's academic standing, setting their sights on a place at Oxford University. When Winterson graduates from Oxford, she recognizes that she owes much of her success to Mrs. Ratlow, the first adult who ever believed in her. As an adult, Winterson admits that the pain from her past once drove her to attempt suicide. But surviving the attempt became a turning point, an opportunity to shed the weight of her past and move forward into a new future. Though she will never forget the suffering she endured, she chose not to let it define her. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.